Hello, everyone. Welcome to special episode of Overlook News. Um, we have ADC with us from the Pop People's Voice Network, and we've got a special guest today with us, JB. How you doing, JB?
I'm doing good. Good to see everybody in their smiling faces today.
Yes, thank you
I
very much.
know my happy tired ass is is good to be glad to be with y'all today.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We've got a lot we're going to be talking about today. We're going to start off by talking about Elon Musk, what a lot of people are thinking about in terms of Elon Musk and buying Twitter. And there's a lot of different takes about it, a lot of different superficial takes about it, I think, because it's
Oh,
kind of
definitely.
become such a, one of the next culture war things where it's like conservatives are like, yes, Elon Musk, yes, we just need another billionaire, and then liberals are like, oh, we're gonna bring back Trump, and it's just I don't know, but I think there's a lot to discuss within it, a lot of
Hmm.
layers to it, so I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to really having and hearing all of your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then we're going to be talking about Netflix and the latest thing that Netflix, yeah, which ADC, I know you got a lot to say about that because that
Yeah.
was a topic you brought up. And then we're going to talk about a mild labor victory that happened with Delta. And we'll talk about why it's mild and also the fact that I didn't realize this was a thing that flight attendants had to deal with beforehand. So,
Hmm.
and then, and then Z is going to be leading the conversation on the Daily Beast. Z, anything you want to quickly say about that topic before we start? You're
You're
on mute.
muted.
Yeah, the Daily Beast went all out on a bunch of anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist leftists on that are still on Twitter and YouTube, like Lee Camp, Danny Haifong. They went after Samira Khan. They went after Ben Norton, Max Blumenthal, Li Jingjing. Anyone you can think of that is actively debunking the NATO and CIA narratives that are coming from mainstream news.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's not the first time the Daily Beast, I feel like, has come up with like hit pieces
No,
on
but this one,
leftist.
I would say this one is a little bit significant just because the fact is it's
Oh
so
yeah.
compiled and it's like, holy shit, this is like they made a profile of like each person.
Right.
This is like the worst photo, like the most menacing photo of all. And they're like, every photo they're like, it's like,
Yeah.
no, but like they
Yeah.
never looked like that. You just like paused it on like a weird like frame and like took a bad photo of them.
Well, yeah, and that's it. They always do that. They always do that with
Exactly.
people. They just like let's get the most unappealing photo,
Hmm.
just so.
It's wild seeing it in real time though, because I've
Oh
only like
yeah.
read. Usually I've only like read about this kind of thing, and like so
Hmm.
it's like people we've talked to, like it's like holy crap, we've like actually talked to like a lot of these people, so it's like holy shit, this is like
Hmm.
it's close. It's not like afar anymore, so
Yeah, I think
it's wild.
Z, you were even saying we've interviewed two of those people on the show as well before. So yeah. Um well, I guess you've made it if you make it on the Daily Beast and they did do a severe job on you, I guess. Um all right, so we'll start with talking about Elon Musk because this is, yeah, a fascinating topic. So I'm just going to go and give a few bullet points of what has happened this last month that has led to where we are now to Elon Musk essentially being the owner of Twitter, right? So
Hmm.
on April 4th, Musk announced he had, and this is from Verge that I got a lot of this information from, if anybody is curious. April 4th, Musk announced he had purchased 9.1% of Twitter. Musk immediately set about soliciting suggestions by releasing a tweet that I think a lot of people saw where it was like, should Twitter add an edit button, right? And a lot of people were like, yes, because let's be real, like it is kind of weird that Twitter doesn't have an edit button. There's so many times where I do typos and I'd like to see it, like I have to or delete it and do it again. So yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. And so then the company itself, once Elon bought 9.1% of it, the company itself said, why don't you just come on the board? However, there's a limit to how much shares you can owe on the board, right? We don't want to have too much conflict of interest happening. So They limited it to him having 15%. He initially 15% ownership of Twitter. He initially said yes, but then was like, nah, I'm going to buy the whole thing. So now Musk is saying that Twitter must go private in order to make some changes, necessary changes, right? Like the edit feature, create an open source algorithm, and a higher bar for censoring tweets and such, right? And I guess the board is now trying to fight him. And he's been talking about how, free speech, how he loves free speech, the bedrock of democracy. He's referring it to as the digital town square, where matters should be debated upon. So that's to catch us all up. Just to give context about what we're about to talk about. So, Z, you really wanted to talk about this. So let's first go to you. I want to hear sort of your reaction about all of this, and then we can go from there. Muted. What's an episode without us talking while muted?
Exactly. It's just like, ugh. But the first thing, I think that anytime you hear that a billionaire is talking about free speech, it should be a red flag, especially in the case of Elon Musk, who is openly like slandered like people just because he was being a baby. Like when I don't know if anyone remembers when those children were trapped in that cave underwater, and he's called one of the swimmers a pedo with literally no. He almost ruined that guy's life. He's ruined that guy's life, and then he won the defamation suit as well. So. There's no evidence about this guy just because the dude made a remark about him. And I don't know, maybe he might have some grand plans for an edit button, but Elon Musk's father is literally a white nationalist. He has blood diamond money from the apartheid in South Africa. So when we think about these billionaires, we have to remember like who they come from, what their lineage are. I don't like Elon Musk, but also you have to remember that we're already in the hands of like what Jack Dorsey as well. So it's just a fight between like which billionaire is going to control it. All the platforms are controlled by billionaires. So that's what I have.
Yeah. JB, you got anything you want to add?
I put out a tweet a couple weeks back, and I said, ending homelessness is cheaper than buying Twitter. It got a few likes, but but the thing is what I said was absolutely true. It costs about $26 billion to end homelessness. And he's trying to buy Twitter for around between 44 and 46 billion. So ending homelessness actually would have saved him over $20 billion. Now, as far as the report about the open source algorithm, in theory, that sounds like a good idea. I just rather Twitter be nationalized and collectively owned by the community. Because, I mean, if it really is truly the public square, then let it be the ownership of the public. But he's not prepared to do that. And to find that somebody like Elon Musk says that he's for free speech, I find very laughable. Especially the fact that he is a union buster. He does not like unions. So therefore, if you're going to say you appreciate free speech, but then you're going to want to silence the speech of your workers and the voice of your workers, make that make sense. So as far as Elon Musk is concerned, some people on the left are kind of like, well, it's I just like seeing that the liberals are freaking out over it. And it's like, yeah, but at the same time, liberals, number one, should have been freaking out over Jack Dorsey having as much power as he had. Liberals should be freaking out over people like, Mike Bloomberg and Bill Gates. They should be freaking out about that. So their outrage is kind of selective, but it doesn't mean that their outrage is wrong when it comes to Elon Musk. Just like there are times, like for instance, we're now this whole Ministry of Truth that's come out that the Biden administration wants to do, and you have a lot of conservatives, having outrage about that. There's selective outrage. It's selective outrage, but at the same time, they're correct being outraged about that. Conservatives are correct being outraged about that. But at the same time, there's some things that they should be outraged about, but they never are outraged about. So the same thing with the liberals. They have selective outrage, but they're not always outraged about things they should be outraged about. But when it comes to Elon Musk owning Twitter, yes, this is something that you should be outraged about. So this is the framing that I'm coming at from. It's like, okay, where have y'all been? Because this has been something that we've been talking about for a long ass time, but y'all are just now coming to the table because there's somebody you don't like. Whereas we're saying, no, every single one of these billionaires have too much power. And one more thing. I'm sorry. Y'all got JB on today. So let me tell y'all something. You got a lot of people going and saying, oh, but it's not Elon Musk's responsibility to end homelessness. You're damn right. Look, you got me fucked up if you think that it's not his responsibility. Number one, he basically exploited workers and is using, the surplus of workers in order to increase his wealth. Number one. So that's stolen money. Number two, a lot of what he has built up was from public funds in order to increase his wealth. So like that very notion, his money is our money. That being said, I reserve the right as American citizen to say what my money has to do with, within this whole sphere. That being said, him wanting to buy Twitter, I'm like, no, in homelessness. Because number one, it is of the value of, and not only is it the right thing to do, but it's within the best interest of the actual people whose money you've acquired, either through nefarious means or through, loopholes through, basically getting money from the government. So I that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah, definitely. ADC, I want to get your take in a second, but I think just so that we're all clear, I just want to show this quick NPR article that lays out what Elon Musk apparently is saying that he's going to change, just so we're all clear on what he's saying is going to change on Twitter, right?
Okay.
So loosen up content rules in the name of free speech, right? And a lot of, like we said, a lot of liberals are freaking out because they equate this to Trump's Twitter might come back, right? So again, kind of a little bit what JB was saying, it's not necessarily about actual values or really thinking deeply about this. It's reactionary, where it's like, they're going to bring back people I don't like, and I'm going to have to see them on Twitter again, right? Which is just like, come on. Like that's
it's like the right thing, wrong reason, but but they're like, the whiff they're getting of the sense is right, but they're like attributing it to the wrong thing. It's like,
yeah. And here's the thing: I don't like Joe Biden, but I respect his right to be on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
I
be
respect
like
his right as far as free speech. Same thing with Trump. I despise Trump, but at the same time, once they start going after his free speech, that means they're going to go after mine too. And the thing is that people aren't being principled in this.
Yeah, exactly.
That is spot on.
Yeah. So we have, hold on, loosen up content rules is the number one. I'm just going to do the highlights because they're pretty self-explanatory. Create an edit button. Open up Twitter's algorithm to the public. So Musk has said that the software that determines what people see and how widely content spreads on Twitter should be cracked open. Launch a war on bot armies. And scrap advertisements. Right now, almost 90% of Twitter's revenue comes from advertising, but the company has struggled to attract advertisers to the platform, which often devolves into political firestorms and ugly online brawls. So, yeah, ADC, anything else you want to add or anything in response to this right here that we're reading?
Well, number one, you guys are all correct. Every one of you has correct points on that. JB, 100%. It is a attack on it is a total censorship attack, especially for channels like ours and like RBN and ones that are just growing here, and ones that are feature people of the global majority or people of the LGBT community. That's the voices that are going to be muzzled by this piece of shit. Number one, I tweeted a couple days ago, or I don't know, I've been tweeting too much. Z was even giving me the gears about filling up feeds or whatever. But I apologize on behalf of everyone from Saskatchewan originally and Canada. I apologize for Elon Musk, because it was our fault, because his mom's actually from Regina, Saskatchewan, which is my birthplace. She was a model in Regina and met his dad. And
You said it's called Regina?
Regina.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Regina. Yes,
okay.
yes. It's been mispronounced many times, and for a good reason usually. But just doing a little research there, I did not realize that piece of shit was actually from my original province, which is the home of the Rough Riders. Secondly, on that is the fact that when you said that he could solve homelessness or world hunger, was what that piece of shit was calling for earlier, saying if the United Nations came to me with a plan, then I would donate X amount of dollars towards world hunger. Well, they got the plan. Oh, yeah, I'm not ready to do that. Or I don't even know what bullshit excuse he gave at the time. The third thing is, the fact is this piece of shit really isn't rich. This is what people have to understand. Elon Musk is not rich. He's got a lot of digital assets, but he doesn't have cash in hand. If and a little
That's
bit
true.
of
He's taking out a loan. Even he's been taking out
and
loans.
the loan is coming from Morgan Stanley and BlackRock. So we've all had these conversations about BlackRock and Vanguard owning the fucking world. Well, this is another way for BlackRock to gain control of corporate media on top of all the networks that they have. So
they're in the motion of acquiring Ubisoft.
We're going to do, we talked about it. There's Felice and a group of us, all of us are going to be doing a very in-depth bunch of episodes on BlackRock and Vanguard, because people have to understand that two companies run the fucking world. This is what we're running into. I know JB and Sabby talked about this when it came to Disney. And when you look at, supposedly in North America, here in Canada, it's just ignored. But in the United States, there's supposed to be a monopoly clause in the fact that you can't have a monopoly of businesses all under one banner. And I know how they do it. They sell, 25% of this goes to this and that. But
Chunks.
These two companies have all the marketplace of every media outlet. They've just got it under different banners. And when Twitter posted last week, and what you got to realize is when we used to have was it Snopes or Snoop? When they Snopes. Twitter actually posted it saying this has been debunked, that BlackRock and Vanguard don't own everything. And I'm going, well, what was the reason? Well, representatives from both companies said that this was investors. This wasn't actual people that own the organizations. I'm going, but you sons of bitches are just investing into these companies. That, if I'm an investor in a company, that means I've got shares in the company, which means I own the company, aka Alphabet and Google and Facebook and now Twitter. So these two pieces of garbage organizations, and they're run by evil bastards. But anyway, go back to Elon Musk, is the fact that he's connected to all these fuckers, and that's why he got the money. I mean, if you want to see what Elon Musk really is, watch the HBO series on the LA Lakers and Dr. Jerry Buss, because Dr. Jerry Buss had no fucking money. All his money came from his mom, but he bought the Lakers and he bought the LA Forum, and he was able to buy all this shit on credit. And it was written by his mom was going to keep the books and make sure he had all this money. What the fuck's the difference between Elon Musk? Where did he get his money? He got his money from Blood Diamonds and Blood Emerald mine from the apartheid fucking family that he had in South Africa. And then he comes here and it's all government, like you guys have said, it's all government funded, government subsidized. This piece of shit has not earned anything in his life. He's had everything given to him, and it's continued to give to him. And right now, the most dangerous part is the fact that the right are talking about he's about freedom of speech. No, he's about keeping up the oligarchy and making sure that people like us on the left or to the more to the middle of the left, like people that have fucking reasonable thought process and actually want to question the authority and question the imperialism, shut up and make sure that we can't make money and bury. And I know Z in that in our third story we're going to talk about that burying and the censorship of peace. But I mean, Elon Musk is the prime example of that.
What I wanted to cut in with you about is the fact that, yeah, and JB brought up Ministry of Truth, Elon Musk buying Twitter, these Daily Beast, the Daily Beast article. All of this is connected. It is all a closing in a censorship. Like it's not a coincidence. There's a Ministry of Truth coming at the same time that an oligarch is buying Twitter. Like that didn't just happen at the same time. All of it's connected.
And the funny thing is about this is a lot of times people will say, well, that's conspiracy. You guys are just, talking. And I like to, and I heard this quote from, oh my God, the comedian. He just got 5 million subs.
5 million? Oh.
No, he's, oh my
Russell
God.
Brand?
Yeah, Russell Brand. Gosh, I can't believe I just blanked on his name.
That's all right.
But
it's the only person I could think that had 5. Every comedian had 5 million.
I'm like, it's not Dore, it's not Lee Camp. Okay, anyway.
So what about Russell Brand?
Yeah. But Russell Brand said, what is the difference between a conspiracy and the truth? He said about 6 months. That's the difference. And the thing is that a lot of times what we're discovering, we're saying things like this. And the thing is that 6 months down the line, then you're going to have an uproar. And then people are going to be like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And then that's when the left, but then that's when the left goes, duh. We were trying to tell y'all that 6 months ago. And y'all just now coming to it?
Or they are very quiet about it when it does get released as this is what happened. And then by then people would have already forgotten about it, which is very convenient because then people don't even know. So the whole cycle continues. It's designed for people not to learn. But Z, I know you wanted to show this clip from Breakthrough News, so go for it.
Yeah, I wanted to show this clip. Breakthrough News had Abby Martin on, and they're talking about, like, as the title says, Musk controlling the tweets. So, I'm going to give this a little watch.
Me to talk about it. We are very honored to be joined here on the show by Abby Martin, who's a journalist, host of the Empire Files. And I just have to say, Empire Files is a great new project, great new show out on the Call-In app, Dosed. I was very honored to be a guest, had a great time with Abby a couple days ago talking about U.S. democracy. But if you're not on Call-In, get on Call-In. Check out Dosed. Fantastic show. Abby, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Abby, Elon Musk.
Like,
it's so funny because we always look at countries like Russia or its neighbors. We call them oligarchies because we're like, yeah, a handful of people own everything and they own the media. But actually, America's not that different. And now the fact that you have the richest man in America, as they call him, or in the world, buying up probably one of the primary means of disseminating information by journalists that we have.
Can you pause for a second?
Communicate on these days, Twitter. Really?
It's like, damn.
Truth shall set you free. No, hang on. How many people are like, oh, well, oligarchs, they only apply to Russia, blah, blah, blah. It's like, look up the definition. Go get on the Google machine and look up the definition of oligarch. It's basically a business person that has major political influence due to their money. That's all it basically is. And people are like, oh, well, we don't have oligarchs. The United States literally has more oligarchs than Russia does.
We're like 4 companies.
I'm sorry. I hate to. I'm sorry to
No,
watch it, but it's like
know.
that's something that people just need to know, that the United States and then people want to talk about, the United Russia was involved in the United States elections. No, the United States was involved in Russia's elections back in '94.
Thank you.
And then people just don't want to think about. Oh my God! Thank you so much, Ronnie Akalik. Thank you. All right, please carry on. I'm gonna mute myself.
The fact that we are just another oligarchy in this country. What do you have to say about Elon Musk buying Twitter? Let's start there.
Where do I start? Well, first of all, it's great.
It's a big question.
Free speech saved. Thank you, Elon.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's the same people who think Elon Musk is somehow going to save free speech in this country are the same people who thought Trump was fighting the deep state or that Trump was going to pardon Julian Assange. I mean, really, it's hopium. It's hopium to the disaffected, disenfranchised masses who are just clinging on to the notion that billionaires are the only ones that are left to save our society, right? The very people who have basically encapsulate the extreme disproportionality in terms of wealth and equality and everything that's wrong, right? The crux of capitalism. Why we're in the state that we are today. I mean, basically, it's an aggressive takeover of this huge communication platform that 23% of Americans use. 7 out of 10 of those people use it.
Holy shit! Literally, we're literally what we're talking about. The fact that why would someone just buy the whole an app that every journalist and every person who follows journalism gets on? Like, why would someone just buy that for 44? He took it over with money he didn't even have apparently. So why? Because it is an aggressive takeover. It's that was pretty much a coup of Twitter.
Primarily for news. And this is just because Elon Musk is obscenely wealthy and wanted to prove that he could. I mean, it's not a good thing. And it's so funny, the stenography that takes place on corporate media about what Elon Musk says and does, and this whole narrative that's spun to react to him kind of similarly to Trump. I think that he knows how to shape that. But this notion that he's guided by free speech absolutism is just quite hilarious to take that at face value, because it makes you feel good, right? So I think a lot of people also believe that, but really he's just another billionaire who wants to control another huge media platform. And his past really says it all. I mean, he has a very sordid history of silencing critics, right? The free speech absolutism doesn't extend to worker safety, apparently, because he just has crushed people who've tried to call attention to worker safety issues, crushed whistleblowers, and actually gone out on a limb and called some former employee who tried to bring attention to worker safety at Tesla a potential mass shooter. And of course, you could forget that cave diving rescue operation, the guy who was trying to do it, a child rapist. And here's the most important thing, guys. He's a fucking rocket manufacturer. Right. He's not an outsider to the system. Yeah, national security state has completely integrated with Google. Google's an appendage of the national security state. But Elon Musk represents the exact same thing. He was using his Starlink system to help Ukraine launch drone strikes. And he has a multi-million-dollar contract with the U.S. military as we speak to develop spying satellites.
All right, I'm going to cut it there. If anyone wants to go watch the rest of that, you can watch that on Breakthrough News. Abby Martin spitting truth as usual, and we're going to continue on with this conversation. Holy crap! Yes. I mean, what else needs to be said? The fact that Elon Musk is the system, and people are just like, oh, Elon Musk is going to save Twitter.
So the only thing I would add on that is we'll go back to the team rescue there. He called the guy a pedophile, whatever. But wasn't he the first piece of shit there to take the glory, the fact that they used Tesla technology to save these kids? And
yeah, that's why he got angry, because it wasn't working, and the guy was like that's kind of he's just trying to come in.
But then he took the glory once they were all saved. Then he's like, oh, look at you can buy my cars because they're just as great as this fucking thing that we use to save kids. I'm going, oh, I mean, but she brought up Trump, and that's an exact point there. Is Elon Musk is Trump. Trump is Elon Musk.
It's the spectacle. There's a book called it's about guide the board, but it's about the spectacle. And when the society gets to a certain point, that a consumer society, or what kind of society, fashion society, you always are like, everything that's shiny, you think it's awesome, and you think that the shiny thing is the thing that's supposed to guide you. And our culture is constantly looking for something shiny, and Trump and Elon Musk are both very shiny objects, even though they're shit.
Well, like Lee Camp said there, the fact that billionaires are fucking psychopaths. Anyone who has $1 billion of anything is a fucking psychopath. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying Trump has $1 billion. He has no money. I mean, he's another guy who and that's the most frustrating thing. And I know, JB, dealing with the poverty situation, I've seen you and hear you and all that stuff, and seeing it with a bunch of our group as well. The fact is that we can't fucking get a leg up because no one will take a shot on any of us. But this piece of shit who has nothing, but because someone else said that he had something, he gets all the credit in the world. He doesn't have to pay any taxes. He can just live life like a fucking king, but he doesn't own anything.
Yeah.
Trump is the exact same example of that. You keep getting failing business. All this dude does is fail businesses, but you can keep getting a bank loan. And then you just be a regular black person, just want to get a house. Sorry, I don't know if we can do that for you. It's like, this motherfucker literally wasted money on space and it never happened. And like $1 billion, and this you can't give this person like fucking $100,000.
Yeah. JB, what's up? What were you gonna say?
Okay, so did anybody ever watch Iron Man 2 back in the day?
Yes.
Okay. You remember that part where Elon Musk showed up in Iron Man 2?
Holy crap, I forgot about that. When he just like shakes Tony Stark's hand in the party?
Yeah. So they're in Monaco, right? So we had a Formula One race. Number one, that was billionaire propaganda right there, 101, because they were trying to make Elon Musk look cool. Yeah. Number two,
State Department. The State Department, I think, okayed their script too. Yeah. So
of course.
Yeah.
So everybody keeps equating Elon Musk to Tony Stark, when in reality, Elon Musk is Justin Hammer. Let's be real. All right? There is no Tony Stark because you don't have anybody who's altruistic in that way. So he doesn't exist. Because Tony Stark wouldn't be a billionaire if he had the mind that he did in the movies, because he would have gave that money away to help uplift everybody. So guess what? No, he's not. So with that being said, I love when people give this intrinsic benevolent value to somebody who just has a lot of money, but they don't care how they got that money. And yet you can be a dude selling a brick on a corner, right? Cutting up rocks, and people will still look at you wrong for just trying to survive. And they're like, oh, you got drug money. No, I'm not going to take that money. And yet the billionaire who got money from exploitation and stealing it from people, you're not going to do the same thing to him?
No.
Exactly. People's family have caused literal genocides and like destroyed countries and like the planet, destroying the planet. And you like, you're just like, oh, a crack dealer, a meth dealer, a pot. What? It's like, what your priorities are like, it's just about optics. What looks good. If you can't see it, then don't care about it.
Yeah. So my point being, if you're going to care about where somebody's money comes from, keep that same energy with billionaires. Yeah. Because guess what? If you think just by somebody selling, if you're going to vilify the weed man, oh, you better vilify every single billionaire out there. Trust and believe that, and trust and believe this: the weed man is a lot more safer and a lot more trustworthy, way more trustworthy than any billionaire that I've ever seen.
I remember in that movie. Yeah, I remember in that movie Wolf of Wall Street, where they're having lunch, and the dude's like, Matthew McConaughey, the guy Matthew McConaughey was like, oh yeah, I have cocaine like 3 times a day. And such.
Yeah,
It's
they
like-
do. It's
and
for real.
Yeah.
Where do
Yeah.
you think the good stuff
But if you
comes
have
from?
crack, then you're going to jail. Like that whole aspect of cocaine for a rich white person is fucking great, but someone covering their addiction is not. That's a criminal offense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to just bring, this was something interesting that I found on Common Dreams, and I wanted to just get a couple people's takes real quick on this, because I think we were talking about before how people were fighting against Elon Musk for the wrong reasons in such sense, right? Where it's like, you're right, Elon Musk is not great and shouldn't be taking over Twitter, but like you're also doing it because he might bring back Trump, right? So this is the EU enacts landmark social media law to end self-regulation by big tech. So the European Union on Saturday passed a landmark law that seeks to reduce social media's harmful effects by requiring big tech corporations to quash disinformation and illicit content on their platforms or else face multi-billion-dollar fines. The Digital Service Act, DSA, not Democratic Socialists of America, would compel Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and other platforms to set up new policies and procedures to remove flagged hate speech, terrorist propaganda, and other material defined as illegal by countries within the European Union. And so let's just go down by saying kind of what they anticipate these groundbreaking rules to be. Banning advertising aimed at children or based on sensitive data such as religion, gender, race, and political opinions, allowing EU governments to request removal of illegal content, including material that promotes terrorism, child sexual abuse, hate speech, and commercial scams, forcing social media companies to allow users to flag illegal content in an easy and effective way so that it can be swiftly removed. And online marketplaces like Amazon will need similar systems for suspect products such as counterfeit sneakers or unsafe toys. If big tech firms violate the new rules, they could face financial penalties amounting to 6% of their annual global revenue and be ordered to alter their practices. And so I bring this up because EU top lawmakers have issued a warning to Elon Musk over his takeover of Twitter regarding this law that I guess the EU is going to pass, which of course, since Twitter is international, they would have to, I guess, abide by in some sense. So just curious to hear your takes on this type of law. And is this is this the right way to be going against big tech and Elon Musk for that instance?
You want to start, JB?
Yeah, JB, what's up?
It should be ran by the public. Like, for my thing is, it should be run and regulated by the public. Like, and it should be owned by them. And these things sound good, but I mean, I would literally have to think about it a little bit further, because I don't want to say, oh, well, these things are correct, because I want to be able to give more nuanced framing on it as my thoughts.
Yeah.
While I think, free speech is an absolute thing, we also want people to not be scammed and things like that. But
right,
it's just, I don't know, like, because I keep thinking about slippery slopes. That's the first thing that comes into my mind, because you can label let's say that they have a communist party there and they're advertising for an event or something like that. Could that be labeled as something that they would ban?
Exactly.
Let's say the Communist Party and I don't know, the Communist Party in Germany, right, wants to advertise something that's going to be going on in a couple of weeks. They're having a function. Well, then according to the EU, that would be listed, as something that they can't do. So then they can be cut off. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it sounds right in writing, but in execution, sometimes it's also used in nefarious ways in order to take down the left. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I would need to think about it just a little bit more. I don't want to give a definitive answer whether it's
Yeah.
good or not. And if there are some good parts, I want to be able to distinctly say this part is good, this part is not so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's a little different, but it brought me back to how the squad, right? Like AOC is always like going after big tech to be like, you need to be censoring people more, right? Which is a really bad road to go down. So I agree. There were some things there that I saw that were like, oh, okay, that could be helpful, but you really need to get down when they say propaganda, what they mean by propaganda, right? What they're going to define as propaganda, what they define as terrorism, right? Because that has unfortunately become a subjective term, which is pretty dangerous because we should all agree on what terrorism is. But
100%.
But a lot of times people will because they could say terrorist propaganda is anybody who speaks ill of capitalism.
Right. Exactly.
Which
exactly.
And it's like it's just there's some slippery slopes there, and it's just like I don't know.
It all comes, but I feel like it all comes down to because we need a more educated public as well. We need a public that cares about like discerning like what they read, and that all goes hand in hand. And this, like you said, it needs to be a public utility in the first place, so it is like held accountable to like people can because whatever anyone says, like some billionaire doesn't need to own everyone's information like that. And just like you were saying earlier, JB, like the fact that the billionaires, like he's making money off of our labor, he's also making money off our information. So the fact that all these companies, all these billion-dollar companies, or these tech companies do sell our information, say what you want. I'm not a fan of Andrew Yang, but he did have an idea. He did have an idea about the fact that they should at least be paying people for selling information. So the nationalization would help that. Nationalizing and making a public utility where everyone gets paid for it, everyone gets a check or some kind of like public benefit because of the fact that information is being sold or traded needs to be implemented. But I don't think like it can be solved without like a public that's aware of it as well, because people are just going to keep falling into the same traps.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like a good time to transition to the Daily Beast article. So I know I couldn't come up with a good transition over to it. Speaking of, I don't know,
dirtbags.
Yeah. So here we go. All right, Z. So I'll let you take the lead on this since I know you have a lot of
Can
thoughts.
You zoom in just a little bit?
Yeah. Here we go. Is this good?
Can I make a quick comment? I understand that you said earlier that they chose some of the worst pictures, but this photo actually makes all of them look kind of cool. I mean, let's be real.
100%.
They look kind of cool.
I feel like it's the words though, like if the words were like this guy, instead of being like this dude is a threat to the state, and if it was like this guy's a badass, it'd be like, huh. Someone reading it like consistently sees like bad words under them. It's like, this guy looks bad. This guy, and they just look so serious. It's like, damn it, they never like take the picture of them like hugging a teddy bear or drinking a cup of coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
But this article starts off going over Lee Camp. It goes off the fact that he, his show Redacted Night was taken off of. Along with all of RT America, was taken off of YouTube and banned in various countries worldwide mostly NATO countries.
They do look kind of cool, yeah.
That picture was cool. That picture was badass. These pictures are badass. But when you go down into each individual profile, they like took pictures of them being like, it's just like
they make them look like the Avengers. So
yeah, no. Later on, it's like Mac Paint. It's just terrible. Anyway,
it's like future like assembly of like anti-left like. But what the main narrative of this is that the guy is he starts off at Lee Camp and he goes on and he connects every one of these people to Lee Camp and to each other and talk about how we are all community online and whatnot, you know, a big community of leftists, and the fact that Lee Camp still needs Patreon donations because he's trying to rack in some cash, because it all has to be about cash, even though, you know, you need cash to, it doesn't matter if you can't be, there's no such thing as a leftist in a capitalist world that's just like, that's trying to do something. It just sitting there being like, all right, I'm going to just fucking use my willpower to make everything happen. So he's like thinking like, he's like talking about how Lee Camp is racking up his pockets with money and doesn't have a kid or a wife and a future wife or something like that, and bills to pay. Like he just like everything is just made for this dude.
Can I just point out? Yeah, he literally says, even assuming his supporters mostly sign up for the lowest one in Patreon, this would unsustainably net him thousands of dollars a month, possibly 6 figures a year. Okay, you know how many journalists and people in corporate news make like millions and millions? Like like this is what he'd be raking in would be like nothing compared to like what fucking like Brian Stelter or like fucking like Don Lemon. They make millions of dollars. Like they make like
Lemon and Chris Cuomo, when he was still on, they were clearing 10 million a year.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, but wait a minute. How much was Matt Lauer making per year on NBC before he was ousted for being a sexual predator?
Exactly.
How much was Charlie Rose making every single year?
Oh, then you bring up Cuomo. Cuomo's the same fucking shit there.
Wait. Oh, Mr. Cuomo, I'll wreck your shit. Is that guy who got offended by somebody calling him Fredo? You mean that guy? I'm sorry, but you're mean to tell me Miss Rachel Maddow, whose show literally went to court from MSNBC and said that they're not actually real news? Yeah. You mean to tell me that? Or Mr. Tucker Carlson Swanson of the Swanson Food Company, heir to that company? And you mean to tell me that they're somehow better or more journalistic than somebody like Lee Camp, who only makes 6 figures? Maybe 6 figures?
Maybe.
Who, by the way, is on his way to having his first kid with his wife.
Yes.
Exactly. Like, it's like, oh my God. It's like Endemic Time said, heaven forbid someone make a living with honest work. So it's just like,
no, you need to exploit more. See, if he exploited everyone and used child labor, fuck, he would be propped up like a king.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, this dude loves war criminals? Hell yeah. Let's give him a platform.
And then the amount he probably makes is like 101,000 in 1 year. So they're like 6 figures. Not saying that it's probably the lowest of 6 figures. It may be in the high 5 figures. But even still, because he's doing good work and people actually support his journalism, you're jealous? You're jealous because
I feel like.
And doesn't Lee Camp live in LA?
No, he lives in Virginia. They live in Virginia, I think.
Virginia? Okay, got it. Okay.
Or Washington or DC. Yeah, they live somewhere.
RT was in the RT America was the headquarters was in Washington, DC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's go. Let's keep going. It's like like JB said, like this dude just first off, he's just pointing out numbers, which usually when you're pointing out numbers, if I'm pointing out somebody's numbers, maybe I'm a little green jelly. Like this dude is just talking about RT. 1,000 YouTube, over 300,000, 15 people on Facebook, and more than 150,000 on Twitter. It's like, okay, like, so he sometimes claims to be against the war, offering the mildest criticism of Russia. Yet the vast majority of his posts are critical of Ukraine as they face invasion from a larger and stronger power. Often they feature misinformation. One of his retweets hinted at the so-called biolabs conspiracy theory that is spread like wildfire across the internet. Okay, so that got proven to be true.
Exactly.
Like,
shut up.
okay, there are so many like sections in this article where the guy's
It's all
like,
lies.
he literally says like, this is bullshit, like this is a conspiracy, and this hasn't been proven yet. And then you can literally just type in what he said on Google, and it's the top thing that has been. It's not even saying conspiracy. Like mainstream news articles, I like so like CNN was saying stuff that he said was false, and it's just like, so you're making up shit, bro. Another one of his retweets intimated his job loss was connected to the Great Reset,
which we need. But anyway,
another debunked conspiracy theory. Camp is a multi-platform kind of guy, and it's just so painful. And though he says the death of RT saw many of his videos removed from YouTube, he still has a channel and posts some of them on his Patreon. Ooh, nefarious. He posts things on his Patreon.
Yeah, and
look, here's Jesus. Oh.
In one of his interviews, it goes over the fact that he featured Scott Ritter, which I don't like. Scott Ritter got banned, but he was right about the war, and they were talking about the war. They weren't talking about unfortunately, they weren't talking about sex offending, because I'm pretty sure that would have gotten brought up if it was part of the situation. But we're talking about Ukraine and the war, and he was talking about Ukraine and the war. They weren't talking about that. They're talking about someone got censored because they were trying to talk about the war. And this guy brings up this guy's past, which not a good past. Not gonna fucking cover for this dude. But that's not what they were talking about.
No.
It's still a deflection at the moment in this current time. But if you want to go talk about this dude, go write an article about that, and we probably will agree about that. But we're not talking about the substance of what that dude did. We're talking about the substance of Lee Camp.
Right.
Yeah. Your character assassinating Lee Camp on the sins of somebody that he talked to on something completely unrelated to what he did.
Bro, it's exactly. Like y'all are far right. Y'all are right. Like everyone you talk to is probably for fucking child marriage and 14-year-olds in Alabama being cool. So
wait,
it's like
hold on. How many people talk to Joe Biden when he has sexual allegations from people like Tara Reid?
It's like, but
and yet they're willing to talk to Joe Biden.
Right.
Well, and that brings up. So we need to also debunk all of them: MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, Fox, the New York Times, the Washington Post. Okay, fine. We're gonna go by that metric. Okay.
Jeffrey Toobin literally masturbated on screen, and he's literally has his job back at CNN.
Right.
Yeah, he wingled his dingle, and people are like, oh, well, he should get his job back.
Yeah. Well, with Ritter, the big thing is someone posted the video when Biden wasn't senile of him going off and calling him Scotty Boy and totally defaming his character in the trial in regards to the Iraq War, and Biden hates him. So you tell me where the connection is, and we'll get to that. The connection of this hit piece and the owner of the company that did the hit piece, and back to old Jim Crow Joe himself.
And okay, so in here, this dude is demonstrably trying to downplay the Nazi influence, the giant Nazi influence that is in the Ukrainian military paramilitary.
Right
now, what he's saying is that he tries to play it down by numbers, not saying that you don't need a giant. If you have the guns, you don't need a giant majority to take over. You're a paramilitary group. You can be 10% of the vote and still can do a coup. That doesn't. You don't have to he's trying to downplay the numbers.
Hang on. It says It says estimated of Azov's size in recent years ranging from 900 to around 2,500. Let me ask you this: how many high-ranking officials are in the United States military? How many do they amount? Are they going to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions? No, they're going to be in the low thousands because you don't need that many high-ranking officials. Exactly. So maybe, just maybe, they have a lot of officials that are in the higher echelons of command that are commanding people to do certain things. So that doesn't mean diddly squat to me. Because
No.
Well, we'll just right now, just on this case here, we will totally debunk this piece of puke. The fact is that in Canada, the Canadian government is now being investigated on one of their top tier military officials of going with an extremist group to train the Azov battalion in the Ukraine. And this guy is wanted for sexual assault and sex misdemeanor crimes while he was in the military. And those stories are all over Canadian news right now. And his pictures or whatever, he was this highfalutin, high honored guard of the Canadian military, and this piece of shit's in the Ukraine right now, working with the Azov battalion. So right there, I can tell you straight up that there's a Canadian with Nazi connections working with this battalion of so-called small Nazi people, where he's saying that it's not acknowledged and it's very small, which is absolute shit.
Well, what I want to do real fast is I want to share a video from, well, because Danny Haifong's already been on it and he's already kind of like started responding to it. And I want to go ahead and let him do a little bit of it, and because I'm sure like everybody's gonna respond to this. Like this like all of them are gonna respond to this. It's gonna be fun over the next week watching these responses, because this dude, who I've never Matthew Forrester is literally like sucking the CIA's dick right now.
Slobbering.
Slobbing on the knob.
You got it, Z, or do you want me to add it?
I got it.
Okay.
And doing a terrible job of it too.
It's just like
I'm gonna shut up.
I feel like this dude's so jealous of numbers. He's just like, this guy has more numbers. This guy has more numbers than me.
Someone like Brian Diller, so-called Hollywood magnate, so-called Paramount magnate, will get into the news media, because that's what the news media really is. It's just propaganda. It's kind of like going to the movies. You expect to be deceived and lied to. And so that's what the Daily Beast serves under, right? It's just a tabloid. It's a tabloid for the ruling class establishment in the realm of news. While People magazine, of course, is all just a celebrity gossip nonsense. So, I mean, that's what you have here. You have ruling class media, corporate media going after us. They're going after us, guys. That's why you got to support us. That's why at any moment we could be taken off of these channels. That's why I got on Odyssey, right? So you can find me there. That's why I got on Odyssey, because I knew that I needed a backup that wasn't going to be subject to the whims of YouTube and Silicon Valley. That's why I have Telegram. I don't really do it that often, like update it. I'll update it enough to stay on it, to have my channel. But that's why I got these backups. And so I'm going to show you that tweet in a bit. But I just want to show you how pathetic. All right. Actually, unfortunately, I lost it, so I have to go back. How pathetic that this attack really was. Okay. He might have blocked me. Actually, now I lost the tweet. Let me see. Sometimes that means that they blocked you. Here we go. No, he hasn't. Has he? Let's see. Nope. Great. So he hasn't blocked me yet. All right. So Matthew Forrest, I'm going to show you his tweet
after
thread,
this video. He'll be
and
blocked.
I'll show you my tweet thread just to give you an idea of how kind of pitiful these attacks really are. Okay. Because I posted a breaking on this, and so let's compare and contrast a bit. All right. So I'm
Danny
going to
Haifong's a real one.
Forrest's smear. While I'm doing that, please keep liking this. Please keep subscribing. All of that good stuff. All right. So here you go. Forrester says, my latest story in the Daily Beast on those peddling misinfo about Ukraine, Xinjiang, and Syria. So trying to cover the whole gambit. So there you have the title. Well, and look at this: 32 retweets, 7 quote tweets, and 68 likes. And I commented, not surprising, no one seems to care about your baseless McCarthyist smears against independent anti-war journalists. I invited you on the program once this was released, and no answer yet. How much did Clinton-connected IAC pay you to produce this propaganda?
Oh.
And so, we got into a little back and forth, but he resents that I call myself a journalist. He says that I continue to apologize for rape and misogyny. And so there you have it. But he says something interesting that I want to show you. I think this is just kind of sad. All right. So I'm going to show you my reply. Where's my reply? Here we go. So he says that he's a freelancer, and my primary source of income comes from driving McLeod, I guess, whatever that means. I'm a working man, says Matthew. The idea of I'm some kind of paid shill is kind of liable that spews from the keyboard so much internet diarrhea. I will be paid a modest sum as my freelance journalism, as a freelance journo is, whatever. So then he says, I will not legitimize your program. Your actions are misogynistic, Islamophobic, la. First world privilege. I'm first world privilege. I'm not the one getting published in the Daily Beast, but I'm first world privilege. And he's a driver, he says. I don't know who he drives for, what he's driving. But all I had to say to that was, wow, that makes it even worse that you carry all this water for the State Department for free. And I almost feel sorry for the guy. I really do. I really do almost feel sorry for him. That this is, he really believes in this stuff. He really believes in the things that he's saying. He really is.
Can I point out that how fucking xenophobic this dude has the dirt of those Xinjiang cop boots taste? After just calling him like Islamophobic and like misogynistic and all that shit. This dude's a clown.
He is invested in smearing people on the left and smearing anti-war journalists. I think that's just sad. It must be some kind of life to not make any money from those who have all of the money. If I were going to sell out and shill for the establishment, I at least want to get paid. I just want to get hired.
Exactly, man.
It's not very well
this
written.
dude's still a freelancer and he's licking
It was
boots.
hard to even follow. Who wants to read like 5 different articles about 5 different people? I mean, it's drivel. No one reads the Daily Beast like that anyway. You only got 68 likes. 68 likes.
It's like, didn't Sagar used to work for the Daily? Sagar and Jetty used to work for the Daily Beast. That's where he was before. He left that place
before
like,
the no one, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows that place fucking sucks.
68 likes for a major media outlet? Like, can you get the producer? Can you get Chelsea Clinton to share it? Like, come on.
Sagar was working for the Daily Beast before he got the porcelain
I'll just show you what I wrote, and then I can show you, right? And you should go to the Twitter and support this, not just support the tweet, but I'll show you, there's...
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to get the gist of that and how that guy, how kind of sad that dude was, and like the fact that he was not even paid to do that. He just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we have there.
But I do encourage everyone to go read that article who is a fan of these of everyone that was covered in the article, because it's a fun listen because it's kind of hilarious.
Watch the full video of Danny there too. That was tremendous of what he covered. Of course, he mentioned his appearance on the RBN this weekend, so he was very excited about that. Starting it off, so that was great. But yeah, the one point there, and he brought up the Chelsea Clinton piece, and so the whole background on this whole thing, and it goes back to that whole propaganda machine. So IAC is the company that owns this shit posting website, which also owns People, which also owns Martha Stewart Living, like all these conglomerate things.
Christ.
But the one that really hit home, and why I think that this is really a big hit piece, is they own a website called care.com, which is the big push for pushback against Medicare. I know here in Canada, we had the pushback through TELUS when they wanted to do virtual care. And looking at the care.com site, not one of those pieces of garbage has any medical degree or any sort of medical experience. They're all tech people. And they're the ones that are set up to get people virtual care, which they're trying to sell you on, as opposed to having universal Medicare, which everyone's fighting for. And I went and looked up dialysis because of you, JB. And they're like, oh, you could get this at-home portion and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going, okay, that's great and whatever. Then you go look at the bottom, and it says that we're not responsible for any medical advice. We're not certified to give any medical advice. And please, we're here to bridge the gap between medical professionals and patients. And I'm going, you're just a fucking government propaganda thing trying to wipe out actual doctors and patient care, because there's no way in hell having it like, okay, yes, if I just need to get my prescription refilled, absolutely, we can go and push that to be a full-on video conference and get away from having to go to the doctor's office to get a prescription refilled. However, if I've got something broken, or I'm on dialysis, or if I'm just had major surgery and need the post-op, I don't want a fucking screen in the bedroom with me and having one of my family members have to do all the work that a nurse or a caregiver would be doing, because of the fact that these pieces of shit want to capitalize the Medicare system.
Yeah, outsourcing
Yeah.
to like outsource. It's like such bullshit.
So, JB, I know you told me that an hour was around the time that you were available. Are you good to go, or are you good for a little more? I just want to check in and just make sure we're not keeping you.
I can stick around for a little bit more.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. So, yeah, should we talk about what's happening with Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to get into
Yes.
this one too.
Yeah, this is
It's gonna be good.
so. Yeah. So, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna pull that up real quick. Netflix layoffs. Here we go.
They lost a lot of cash last year.
Yeah,
which is
which
good.
yeah, honestly, I didn't know Netflix was not doing as well. Maybe it's because of just other people are getting other types of streaming services. I don't know, but this was interesting to me. So Netflix layoffs, fired employees vent anger on Twitter. So Netflix has laid off some of its staff in a move that comes hot at the heels of the streaming agent recording a drop in subscribers for the first time in a decade. Many of the fired employees were writers and editors at Tudum, the official companion site to Netflix, which was launched in December. I've never heard of them. Most of them were women of color who had been hired just months before, NPR reported. The Netflix employees Netflix employees who were laid off included one team of 10 to 12 writers and editorials and editors who worked for Tandem's culture and trends section. Most, if not all, of the team were Black, Latinx, or Asian women, NPR reported, adding that they were all experienced journalists who had been poached from places like Vulture, Teen Vogue, and the New York Times.
Wow.
They went very out of their way to hire high-level journalists of color who have it gets better, who have quite a bit of name recognition of a lot of experience and talent. In some ways, they were just buying clout to lend credibility to their gambit.
Yeah.
And so
they went out of their way to fire them.
Yeah. And so one person says, still processing that so Sarah David says, still processing that Netflix recruited me from my union job of 6 years, which had been 18-week severance with the promise of new opportunities and a diverse team, only to lay me off months later with 2-week severance. Some people moved to CA for this gig. I'm devastated. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right?
That is devastating. Like reading that, like that's holy shit.
Right. So, I mean, just imagine. I mean, apparently they had to really have sold this up really well if you're going to convince someone to leave their stable union job to take this, to then very shortly after be like, no. But yeah, I know, JB, you probably have a lot to say because I could tell from the part that you had a lot to say from the beginning. So, yeah, what's your take on this? What's your reaction to this?
instead of paying some of these actors extremely large sums of money, these actors and comedians, y'all could have just backstopped to pay for some of these people.
Mhm.
Yeah, instead of doing that. Also,
how much did Dave Chappelle get?
About 50 million. Around $50 million. Also, didn't a lot of people decide to drop Netflix after they raised their prices?
Good.
Yes.
So, you're in the middle of a pandemic. Pandemic's still going, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't have the money to be able to afford Netflix. Plus, Disney Plus was popping. Let's be real. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, hello. And so they decided, you know what? Netflix is going to be the one to go. And so they dropped Netflix. And so Netflix also loses a lot of money that way. And so instead of going to the people who make a lot of the money, right? Instead of cutting them and then keeping the same people employed, being a more altruistic company, you guys decide to trim the fat and lay off, especially a lot of people who are Black and people of color, particularly women, who were writers, and according to that article, were top-notch ones who came from places like Teen Vogue and the New York Times, who had union jobs, and you only had them for a few months and you just let them go? Like, really? So, I'll say it before and I say it again. If I had the power, Netflix would be a co-op. It would be a co-op, man. Because this is ridiculous. And this is how these companies operate. They will do this day in and day out for any person. Like, look, anybody. And they'll be like, well, it was the new person, so we had to let him go. Whereas you have the people who are at the top who got these golden parachutes and making all this money. And if they were to leave, Netflix would still keep running. You need the actual people at the bottom to keep everything running. But this is how all these corporations work. It's just sick.
And this is like corporations' idea of diversity throughout the board, right? They're like, we're going to hire people of color, Black and brown people, right? But we have no plan on creating a sustainable space for them or keeping them, retention, right? We don't care about that. We just care about optics. And then, oh, look, we our profits are dropping a little bit. Get rid of them as fast as you took them in, right? And that's just how it. Yeah, it's not isolated in Netflix. They all do this.
Yeah. So number one, the biggest reason Netflix lost all their money is the fact that their quality's gone down terribly over the last few years. This Tudum, I've never fucking heard of it. I've been a Netflix subscriber since after they took away the DVDs.
Yeah.
So I'm just aging myself dramatically here, but it's the fact is I've never heard of Tudum. Oh, it was launched in December. I was looking at the Tudum site. Fucking Bridgerton is on the Tudum site. Bridgerton's one of the highest watched shows for white fucking women in the world, and you don't promote the fucking thing. I don't understand. And I can say this because my wife watches it all the time. But you've got your Stranger Things, you got your Ozarks, like this white-driven stuff. So I don't understand where the diversity comes in. Why you have everyone in the global majority fucking working for Tudum as opposed to working for the main Netflix, because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't fucking make sense. You're promoting white shows as the global majority. But so I'm just totally just pissed off beyond all belief in regards to the treatment of the global majority. And I know I'm a white guy with fucking privilege. It doesn't matter. my white privilege is being used to amplify the voices of the global majority. And fucking anyone questions me about doing that, they can go fuck themselves, because I'm going to continue to do that. And people are going to call me whatever they call me. I don't fucking care. But the point was, I watched the RBN panelists, and you had some great guys talking about good times and talking about basically black exploitation in media and in Hollywood. And I love Norman Lear. I thought his portrayal of George Jefferson as the anti to Archie Bunker, the fucking racist and the bigot, I thought that was brilliant. But it was done by a white guy. And the fact is, he couldn't get the networks to buy into that. And what people have to understand, and going back to the Netflix piece, the creator of Blackish had his show Black as Fuck. I loved it as a white person. I fucking roared at it based on the fact that it's basically a person of the wealth, a black person of wealth, showing that he doesn't fucking care. Like, he's not going to change just because he got wealthy. And that whole how we did Blackish. I know it's a show, so I can't totally see it as being real life, but it was a pretty good representation. But that's what they're fucking doing. It's not about actually providing a voice for the global majority. It's about a distraction. So, like it was brought up there, on network television, there's not enough. Like, Friends was the ripoff of the show that started on the WB and Fox. And
Living Single.
Absolutely.
It was.
Which Martin was on there. Was that correct?
Yes, it was on Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as much as I love the black sitcoms, I'm not going to sit here and try and speak on behalf of those. But I was even talking to my wife about this, is the fact that Family Matters, Steve Urkel, that was a way to distract people from real life. Friday nights, let's put a black family on, a hardworking family. Let's make the black guy a cop, so we actually like cops, as opposed to reacting like we did to the LA riots. And I mean, and I give credit to Reginald Val Johnson, who, I mean, Die Hard fame loved him as that, and they basically made him, his character from Die Hard, as Carl on Family Matters. But
basically, I know,
he
but
was the
just thinking
one
about that
wrote into the. If you ever saw the episode where Eddie got caught, was pulled over by the police, and it was a racist, absolutely a racist scene, and then he goes to the donut shop and confronts them, and he's like, he was the one who pushed that. ABC didn't want that. So getting back to the whole thing with the Netflix, the distraction piece. What did Netflix do as opposed to paying for these brilliant fucking people they just let go? They fucking got Shonda Rhimes from ABC, because that's what they want to do. They want the distraction of Grey's Anatomy. They want the distraction of all Shonda Rhimes' brilliant shows. I love her shows, by the way, but that's a big elite member of the black community that we're bringing in, that has bought into capitalism, that's bought into supporting the machine. Because Shonda's not going to sit there and put out something that's going to really speak out against anything. She's going to put out something that's going to be great for everyone, especially the white woman who watches it on Thursday nights.
ADC, let me get in on that, because I think that's a very important conversation about like how a lot of the experiences that we are starting to get from black artists and black communities, for the black community, is still from a different class view a lot of the times. Right. It's not the type. It's still, even though it's still black, it's a representation of black people who might have not have had like a terrible life, or always I mean, you know what I mean, like you still get racism and everything, but at the same time they still are living comfortably because of their economic situation, and they're able to like subvert a lot of the things that like the majority of black people or people who are disenfranchised are going through. Like for Example, Atlanta is a fucking amazing show, and it is so awesome to see that. It shows like a whole different side of the Black experience, and it really does. But then you see Donald Glover. He just got hired. One of the reasons Atlanta is stopping is because, well, first of all, let me go back to the fact about Atlanta and the fact that when he was trying to pitch it, just like you were talking about pitching a show, he had to pitch it as some type of like action-based show. And then when it came out, it was completely like not even what he had pitched, and it was a complete hit. But one of the things is that the fact that Amazon, he just made a deal with a multi-million-dollar deal with Amazon with Malia Obama, and they're going to be writing together and writing more Black stories and for Amazon. So you see, Amazon wants to get on that, and is on that streaming service too, and they want to get in on that Black experience from a curated Black experience as well. So,
yeah, and just one of the things. I'm sorry. Go ahead, ADC.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Baby.
Just one thing, like for instance, I don't see them going to Aaron Magruder and asking him, to create a show.
Well, the new Boondocks got canceled. It was supposed to be one of the launching shows with HBO Max, and then they canceled it.
Yeah, Aaron Magruder, who created the Boondocks, they're not going to him, and I don't see them going after Boots Riley. I don't see them going after him, trying to get that type of writing and directing.
Boots Riley is awesome.
Yeah, and Boots Riley is on the left. He's a director, but he's on the left.
Yeah, he's actually on the left. And if anybody hasn't seen Sorry to Bother You, that movie is amazing. And they need to listen to The Coup, because that is one of the best hip hop groups of all time. Anti-Cap, like literally their first album, Kill Your Landlord.
I saw that.
1994. 1994.
Back in 90. Look,
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna let my hood side come out. Back in 94.
Back in 94. Like I was just like I was listening. I was like, this is 90. What? Like they literally are like just spitting dialectical and communism and everything in the when NWA was out. Like that's what they were talking about. So
yeah, but you don't see them going after this. So therefore, not to shit on Kenya Burris for creating Blackish, but there's been this trend ever since that started after Good Times, and I know some Black people are sick and tired of seeing Black people poor, but as far as the reality of what we live, Good Times was reality basically made into fiction, right? Once they started with the Jeffersons, then they also went with Silver Spoons. Silver Spoons. I mean, Different Strokes. They got to the Cosby Show. Then they got to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They went with all these different shows. They started saying, let's make capitalism look even better to Black people, so that they can, be propagandizing the thinking, well, all we got to do is work hard in the system, and we can end up just like Will Smith, West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playgrounds where I spent most of my days. And next thing you know, he's, you're in Beverly Hills, and in Bel Air and living up the life. And come to find out, it's actually worse now than it was in the 60s for a lot of us.
Exactly.
And the thing is that it's used to push us into a direction where we say, well, all you got to do is just grind harder and hustle.
Pull your bootstraps up.
And
exactly.
You know, so right.
Yeah,
we've been there. And I'm sorry, JB. I just want to get on that because I want to say like two things. I want to say the fact that it seems like we've already been there. Like it's capitalism and Blackness or otherness in general is incompatible with Americanism. And the fact is that we've already been there from Whip the Boys, and we've had our scholars and things like that. It's just been hidden, and we've been propagandized, and we're gonna hit that wall just again. It's like grind harder. There's only a certain like level to where you're grinding, and you're just like, this isn't gonna get this isn't moving our people. This isn't getting anybody anywhere on any side. So
yeah.
So I guess the thing that I really enjoyed, and the fact that I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I'm so glad that she doesn't see the differences of people is based on who treats people like crap and who doesn't. It's not based on race, religion, or whatever. So I can say that my wife and I are trying to raise someone who is about fighting for, like, she already hates our government and whatever, but it's about standing up for yourself and standing up for others. But we came across Abbott Elementary, and if you haven't seen that, that is a brilliant show. It was and it's based in lower income Philadelphia, and so you are seeing the grittiness of the teachers, of like getting shitty pay, having to eat like cardboard pizza because they can't afford whatever, except for the ones that have been there. And then the principal is like over the top diva sort of thing, but it all comes together. But it's like you see it as the grit, you see the actual realness of it. Yes, it's under a sitcom and it's got the humor in it or whatever, but you can see the layer, like the fact that she's able to, the creator there is able to provide that perspective that isn't just sunshine and lollipops, isn't just fucking Claire and Cliff Huxtable, doctor, lawyer. I mean, I love the fact that there was doctors and lawyers. We have to do something on the Cosby too, because I mean, I'm so heartbroken about that whole shitstorm. But it's the fact that you're seeing real, and it's not judged on that. And I want to see more people being represented in a real form, because if not, if I'm going to be distracted, I want to be distracted with something that's actually representing something real, not some fucking fluff like the Kardashians or some other bullshit that's just there to distract you into thinking that, oh, you could make this, you could become this person, you can make all this money if you exploit everyone in your wake.
Before we move on, though, JB, I wanted to ask you one question.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of FD Signifier or Foreign Man in a Foreign Land? They're two YouTubers I think you would really enjoy, because they talk about like these like literally like black media experience and stuff like that, and they deconstruct it from like a left perspective, and it's really good. I've shared it a couple times in a group, and they like them.
Does one of them does he have dreads?
Yeah.
It's kind of like shoulder length dreads. I think I know who you're talking about. I think I may have saw a couple of his videos.
They're long. They'll be like anywhere from like 45 to an hour 30.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, but they usually put out video essays, basically. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. But yeah, I think I've seen his. But yeah. Just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, actually, Family Matters was actually an offshoot of Perfect Strangers. I don't know if you guys remember that show.
Larry and Belky. She was the elevator operator at the newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got millions of bits of useless information when it comes to TV, so you pretty much can tell me anything from 78 on. I can pretty much tell you what to do on there. So
nice. But yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be based on her, and it was supposed to be based on her life in Chicago, and she was supposed to be the primary star of the show until Steve Urkel came in and basically took it over.
There's so many shows like that.
Yeah.
And I love Jaleel White. I think he's a fantastic, like me, anyone who can provide, who can go to that level of nerdiness with not being one himself is tremendous. And I mean, a tremendous actor. And the fact that he's able to move past that and do what he's done in all different avenues since then has been great. But yeah, no, that was such a shitty way to do that. I mean, the fact is, and I don't know if it's a black sitcom thing, but how the hell do you kill off two characters without explaining what happened? Like the middle daughter went upstairs at the end of season 1 and never came back.
Judy,
the aunt left the nephew because he was the cute kid, because that's the thing. You have the cute kid that's there to be the star, and Thelma Hopkins gone. So suddenly you've got Richie and the family, but no middle kid, because Judy just went away. She went upstairs and So it was Laura, it was Eddie, it was the nephew, and then it was Urkel, and it was Urkel's show, and then it was that whole brown, and then Stefan Urkel and all that stuff when he didn't want to be Steve Urkel. Anyway, yes, but that I don't understand how you can write off characters without explaining that they didn't go anywhere. They just go up the stairs of the set and they never come back.
I'm sorry, but that's beautiful. It's like new Aunt Viv.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I don't know if you see. I'm sure you guys saw the reunion that was on HBO.
I saw
and I struggle with my feelings towards Will Smith. I honestly do. I understand, and thanks to Z sharing that the documentary person there and watching the actual real life of Will Smith, not the Fresh Prince, not the DJ Jazzy Jeff shit, but actually the fact that him watching his mother get beat by his dad and being traumatized. And there's the trigger there when you're sitting there. We go all the way back to the Oscars, and why he reacted the way he did is based on that trauma response of how to get through that. So I really struggle. I hate all white rich people. That's I don't struggle with that. I think they're all pieces of shit. They should all be gone. I struggle with having any sort of ill feeling towards someone of the global majority being wealthy, because of the fact that you guys fought so fucking hard for everything in your lives, getting success. I struggle with you not having that. But with all that being said, it's if you're using it as the platform to keep exploiting people, I can't accept it, or I have a hard time propping you up or continuing to promote you.
Yeah. Just one line in the sand though, and I don't care who I will die on this hill too. Janet Hubert was the best Aunt Viv.
Yes.
She was the better Aunt Viv, the original. She played that role. Aunt Viv basically went, and I know this is completely unrelated to the entire subject, but Aunt Viv basically went to the background once.
Whatever her name is that came in to take over. Yeah.
I don't want to disrespect her by saying that, but she became a background character, and it's just like nah. Aunt Viv was basically a black woman from Philadelphia who basically came up herself as as a mother, who got her education after having Hillary. So, right. And people that wasn't really talked about. So no. As far as the story goes, so I mean, Janet Hubert really, despite what other people say, and Alfonso Ribeiro, you wrong for what you did, wrong for what you said. But
yeah,
and anyways, so there's this the thing about race when it comes to this subject. A lot of people don't realize that The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was actually one of the highest rated shows on NBC, but it was also one of the lowest paid casts.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that even when you're famous, it still doesn't translate wealth-wise. And it just goes into this view of we don't matter as much. And circling it back to Netflix and how they treated their writers and their people who they recently hired, is that they just didn't matter that much. And they didn't seem to think how this would look, even from an optics standpoint, that they just got rid of them. And so it just all goes back to capitalism and how you treat people. It's just sad all around, to be honest with you.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're approaching the 1 hour and 30. Well, we passed it. We were going to talk about Delta and the mild victory there. Should we go for it, or should we save that for another episode?
It's up to you.
All right. we'll just say real quick. So, Delta, here we go. I'm just going to share this. This is one mild union victory that I just wanted to share. Flight attendants generally don't start getting paid until the plane doors close. Delta is changing that. First of all, First of all,
Wait. Be back off the plane. You mean to tell me all that work that you're doing, preparing the plane and getting it ready? Hold up, wait. You mean to tell me that they are not getting paid until that door closes?
That's so terrible. What?
You know how many annoying people there are that are boarding the plane and they have to deal with before the fucking door closes? And you're not getting paid for that?
So terrible.
Yeah. And so
who in the hell decided that they should work for free just because of a door closing? If you clock in, you get paid. That's the way it works. You mean that? Man, please get to the good news because I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. Andrew, please get to the good news.
Is there good news?
That's really, I mean, the fact is, and Delta is saying that because, or the unions are saying that because, so Delta has fought off unions several times, right? And so this is the concession Delta made, and they are the first airline to do that. So that's why it's like, okay, this is a step forward, but it also brings to light the realities that flight attendants deal with, which I don't think any of us had any idea. Like, you would just assume they'd get paid. So
I think they played off that. Like, they just like, oh, you assume they got paid. It's like, what?
Right.
Wait, are they supposed to get paid? Like,
also, like, let's be real here. These flight attendants, they have to spend time in hotels if they like are traveling international, right? Like,
no,
they like literally are displaced from where they work because of the whole nature of flying thousands of miles. And now I'm like, they don't even get paid for that. Like, they're just, So the Association of Flight Attendants, which has been gearing up an organizing campaign at Delta for more than 2 years, took credit for the boarding pay. So I wish the union was successful. That would have been much better. But I guess this is what they do when they are. So I guess the moral is keep unionizing because they'll continue to make concessions, but then it'll just remind you how ridiculous it was beforehand. So, yeah. What else?
that's
What
wild.
was anyone's? Yeah.
That's like claiming your server got a. That's claiming that you go to a restaurant and you're sitting there with your bowl of soup, and your server did better by bringing you a spoon for your soup.
No. That's their tip. And they bring you if the spoon comes or not with the soup.
Yo, I'm getting hot. I'm this is weird. Like the moment they step foot in the airport, why aren't they getting paid?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it should be a salaried position again, because say if you're going international, like you are in a different country because they sent you, you're not on vacation and it ruins with your sleep. Like,
but
it's
terrible.
That's a selling feature, though. I mean, number one, it doesn't shock me because pilots are probably one of the least paid employees in the United States. I mean, go back to Reagan, that piece of shit who laid off who basically fired all the pilots when they went on strike. Pilot pay. I mean, basically, they talk to pilots and say that they're making, like, they have to get food stamps because, like, if you're not in your fifth to 10th year of flying, you're only getting paid like your minimum, which I think some guys were making, like, I don't remember if it was America or if it was Delta, but they were making anywhere between $35,000 and $42,000 a year. I mean, if a guy who makes as much as an Uber driver is the guy who's responsible for carrying me and 1,000 other fucking people across the Atlantic, I want that guy to be paid a lot more so he cares that he doesn't want to just throw us into the fucking ocean.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it. Like,
Yo. I mean, look, nobody bats an eye if a surgeon makes 6 figures because a surgeon literally holds your life in their hands. If my pilot is not making 6 fucking figures, and if my flight attendant is not in the close to 6 figures,
Right.
that is some bullshit because they literally are taking care of you while you're 35,000 feet in the air in a compressed tube. And you mean to tell me that these people are making a starvation wage?
Yeah.
And there's
Do
so
you
many.
want us to die? Like, and
Yeah.
then on top of that, hang on. And then on top of that, they make them work hours and hours and let them get sleep deprived. Do you?
Yep.
Capitalism. Oh my god! I want to smash something. I want to go full Hulk. I want to turn green right now and smash some stuff because it is ridiculous. The fact that our pilots. I don't care if it's Frontier. I don't care if it's Spirit. They deserve to be paid a thriving wage on top of it. Like, are we serious right now? But and don't get me started on we have to raise our prices. No, you do. No, you don't.
No.
You just have to take the CEO pay and drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, I guess the shareholders are not going to get as rich. Apologies.
Oh, y'all chose some subjects for this show. Y'all knew y'all were going to get me fired up for this
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
It's like, let's choose some of the spiciest subjects, and
yeah, we're gonna get JB to pop a blood vessel today. Y'all right?
So yeah, I guess the boarding pay would be on top of the 4% raises that it granted flight attendants last month. So yeah, just a reminder that when they make concessions, you realize how bad things are, and you're like, oh wow. So. Yeah, on that note, and yeah, I mean, you know how many flight attendants too have to be trained in some like emergency preparation? Like if someone passes out on the flight, they're the first ones who got to do something about it, right? So absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good time to kind of conclude and everything. So why don't we go around just so we'll start with JB since you're a special guest. Say what you have coming up, and then we'll go around and then we'll end it from there.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on the Revolutionary Blackout Network. I do the JB show every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm on the Roundtable on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right now, we actually have our International Anti-Imperialist Summit going on right now. So if you guys can tune into that after the stream is done. Make sure to like this stream first and subscribe before you leave the stream, though. Make sure you do that. But yeah, you guys can catch me there. Also, I also have my own channel called the Befaunt channel, and I stream there every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I may do extra streams throughout the week. You never know. Stick around, and you might get a treat. Forehead kisses. Love you.
Awesome.
Z, go for it.
Oh, me?
Or
Okay,
ADC.
I'll go.
Either way, I don't care. Yeah.
ADC, you go.
ADC.
Oh, okay. So yeah, forehead kisses to you as well, JP. It was a pleasure connecting with you. And I don't know. So I launched something through my company Baller Gear. If you saw some of the stuff that was tagged in you, it is me. So there's actually a legit guy. We're not. I understand there was some bullshit people that tried to use RBN to profit off that, and I'm sorry you guys had to experience that. And I watched, like I said, I watched you, and I watched you and Sab, and I watched you and CJ, and I fucking cried myself. I couldn't. It hurts me to see you hurt, and I didn't know how the hell I could do something. And we're sitting there, and I watch all these leftist channels, especially the fucking ones that have the millions of followers that say they talk a good game, but they don't do shit. And I'm going, they all talk about mutual aid. And I'm going, how the hell do we do something for someone like you, JB? So, I said, what we're going to do, and I've got it launched, and you can fucking look at it, whatever. I created 2 designed coffee mugs and mason jar mugs in your honor. It has a hashtag, we support JB Font, and I'm going to provide all net profits to your fucking, my coffee from every sale that we do. And I wanted to do this in person. We launched it, but we didn't do any full promotion until I was able to fucking reach out to you in person as much as we can on the screen. Because fuck man, it pains me that you're going through this shit, and I know what it's like to be there. I was kicked out of my house at 17. I've been traumatized my entire life. Thankfully for my wife, I'm able to survive. But if I can do something, this is something I can do. So, everyone, as you can see me tearing up, it's ballergear.ca, or actually, it's humanright.ca. And you can see these mugs, and every one of them, we're doing the net profits going to JB for the month of fucking May. And we're calling it the human aid, or the mutual aid of the month. And JB, you are the first fucking recipient. And I've got a link to all your links on that page, as well as the video that you had with Afani, because fuck, you do such great work. And I want you to be able to survive, to be able to do more of this work. And this is what I can do personally to help out.
You got me. You got me today. Oh my gosh. Like, damn it. Oh shit.
I'm sorry to make you cry again.
No. This is tears of gratitude, man. Like, oh my god. I usually have so much to say. I just don't. Look. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I'm floored in a very good way. I'm humbled deeply. Holy shit. Between what you just did right there, and then also the many people, people who have just been anonymously trying to help me out. I just want to say, like, thank you so much. Like, I literally just got word, like, earlier this week, that they were going to be raising my rent.
Yeah.
And all this other crazy stuff. And it's just like, and then it's just, God, people are so compassionate, man.
It was that post that fucking put me over the top. I was going to hold off until I could connect with you and CJ and Rome and all that shit. But as soon as you posted that, and you said you and your mom talked you down because you were struggling, and I posted at you, and you're like, who the fuck is this guy? This guy just keeps fucking tweeting at me. I don't know him from Adam, but now you can see who I am and what we're about. I mean, you can also get People's Voice Network mugs as well, and we're doing that. But I see you drinking your tea, and when Rome's talking about tea bags, we can get you a mug to put those tea bags in, because the mugs, I would get you a shirt, man, but the mugs are better quality, and we'll get you your own fucking mug that says dignity is a needed human right. And what's the other one? No war but class war. And we'll get you those mugs. You put your fucking tea bags in there, and yeah, we're gonna fucking change the world. And like I said, if we can just do this between the group of us, we can do it.
Oh man! By the way, teabagging is also a human right, but no.
That's a new mug.
Oh boy.
I was tired before,
is
but now
amazing.
Rejuvenated.
all of you, thank God, Lee. You guys are such
we're glad
big-hearted people. I mean, you guys just, okay, I'm going to say this. The type of people that you surround yourself around, I try to surround myself around people who are compassionate because it will influence me to be more of that. You guys just you guys put the pressure on me, and it's a good kind of pressure to even be even more as compassionate and kind as I possibly can, because we realize that we are all connected on this planet together.
Right.
And I may not be able to do all that I want to, but I do what I can when I can. But then it's just, thank you. I really don't even know what else to say, man. Like, I'm just immensely grateful. Like, wow. Thank you.
Well, we're glad. We're glad. And ADC's been pushing. He's been like, we need to talk. I gotta talk to JB about this. I gotta talk to JB. We're getting to talk to JB. And I'm so glad he got to. No.
Yeah.
I have not, like, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw my little spiel out there. I got Revolutionary Reader that I'm working on. We took a poll the other day. We're gonna be doing a Black Panther. I'm gonna be doing a Black Panther video soon. So I'm gonna be going over a bunch. I had to just decide. There's just the Black Panthers is such a giant topic that it cannot be.
Yeah.
I probably had to make this into parts, but
yeah,
I'm gonna do that. We got we're gonna be doing, me and Andrew are doing Overlook News every Saturday or Sunday. I don't know. We're gonna decide yet. And yeah, that's all we got going on pretty much. And we just the door is always open for you if you want to come and hang out and on a panel or a show or whatever. And you're welcome to jump on.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, definitely. Y'all surprised the shit out of me. This was
you have turned into pixels,
great.
Where are the cameras? Oh wait, it's right here.
Yeah, it's right here.
Right
here.
Someone
man.
Record that. Oh, okay.
ADC, man. I gotta say, man, I'm just very grateful. Like, whoo.
Yeah.
He's our newest recruit.
Y'all did a real good job. Y'all swung for the fence and got a home run on him. But I appreciate it, and look, we save us. That's that, and I'm basically a product of that. So I'm just
exactly.
I'm grateful for it, and I think that people, from what just transpired just now, if we can do what we can, even if it's just kind words to other people and how we treat others, even that can be revolutionary, because it seems like we got into a culture of just
hating everyone.
I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and who cares about other people's feelings? It's like, maybe we can be more kinder to one another, even just in words, not only just deeds. And you guys, especially you ADC, you provided a wonderful example to emulate, and I appreciate it so much.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're gonna dip out for today, and we're glad to have JB. Happily you'll be back on soon, and glad to have ADC. We'll
have you back on soon too.
Absolutely.
At some point.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
everybody, stay good out there, and thanks for watching Overlooked.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We passed. The People's Voice GOP one that's out there. So we're good with that. So like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
All right, y'all.